Hey guys, Daslater Magic here, and I have had a lot of requests for this video. I don't know why. Look, it pisses me off, but I guess I'm covering it because people need to know about this, obviously. This is like, don't give your money to Wizards of the Coast week. They don't deserve it, and with the look of who's in office and how things are going down lately, you might want to just keep that money around in case you need it. I think about 50,000 people have just been fired from the biggest tech giants right now in the last, month, so, yeah. But have you ever heard of Kyle Brink, the executive producer for Dungeons & Dragons? That's the other major brand that Wizards of the Coast owns. Yeah, it's D&D, but it's the same company, and honestly, they're all like this. This probably isn't even in the top 5 for the most racist crap I've heard their people say in the last 10 years. So he's actually fairly new to the company. He's only been there for about 2 years and 2 months, it looks like. I don't know, I'm looking at LinkedIn. It also says 9 months. I don't know. It looks like he was promoted from Director of Studio Operations, whatever that is. Now, in case you're wondering what this absolute genius did, let's just say he came out in early February and said that Wizards and D&D lost sight of the impact that the OGL debacle would have on the community. Yeah, it was like his idea, partially, is what I'm hearing. We'll never know who really handed down what orders from what or who implemented what how, but he's the executive producer of D&D. So what was he doing instead of his job, making the brand not completely self-destruct and losing the company upwards of $1 billion, potentially? Well, he was on an hour-and-a-half podcast interview thing with a channel called Three Black Halflings with almost 3,000 subs, which 3,000, funny I should mention that number, that's approximately the estimated number of thumbs down if you unhid them on YouTube that this video has. They literally have more downvotes than they have subscribers. So he went on to go apologize on behalf of white people to them. Great. Maybe you should apologize for the OGL or any of your pricing lately, or for hiring that alleged pedophile, Nick Kelman, for head of story and firing 2 women to give him their job. And then he didn't pay the Dragonlance authors, who as of lately are, I believe, 2 women, could be a guy and a girl, I don't know. There was a whole drama with that. But as long as you go on some no-name podcast, no offense, and, apologize because of your race and say what he said, which I'm about to play a clip in a second, well, then it's all good. Then you're doing your job. This is the priorities of these morons from Seattle. Can a meteor just impact Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco so we can be done with them? They're an embarrassment to our country. Anyway, here's the clip.
And I think there's been mistakes made in years past where people assumed that D&D players were all, white dudes in a basement, which has been a faulty assumption for a lot of years and gets more and more false every day. And so it's, in my viewpoint, honestly, guys like me can't leave soon enough.
So to paraphrase his point, because I watched a little bit before and a little bit after, to get the absolute full statement and full context, was too many white people work at the company, which was pointed out by the interviewees, and they even, to their credit, said, hey, a couple people we know that work there feel like they were token hires. Are there any minorities or whatever that are in positions of power? And his answer was this long-winded roundabout nonsense where he just lands at people like me can't get out quick enough from the hobby and from the job. And then right before that, and I'm not going to play too much because of copyright and fair use and all that, but I gave you the name, go watch it. But yeah, right before that he had said basically, the face of the average D&D player is changing because, it was a white people's game, which when the hell was that ever true? And now that there's less people that look like him, they need less people that look like him designing it, which on the surface seems accurate, but let's reverse it, because it sounds nice. Let's get down to what he's really saying. You can't make content for black people or Latinos or Asians unless you are black, Latino, or Asian. What? This is that cultural appropriation, stay in your lane, ooh, we're the white saviors and we need to help you up. We need to give you a helping hand up because you're so disadvantaged. That's what they all think. This is just more of that crap with a little bit of a soft filter on it to make it sound a little bit more palatable and a little bit more reasonable till you look into it. Here's a question. I wish I was in that interview, and feel free to email me, Kyle. If I write or you write or some third party writes a D&D module where I save an elf noble's kid from goblin kidnappers because he thought he was an adventurer, and then we bring him back and collect a reward, or if it's my party, we probably bungled the whole thing and then just disappeared before the nobleman could find out. What about any of that has to do with race? Look, if you're supposed to be basing the book off of like Botswana, you might want to talk to somebody who lives there instead of just what you heard about Botswana on a Nat Geo show 20 years ago. So like, I get that. But first of all, don't base it on anything in Earth, just make up your own thing, which arguably impossible. But amalgamations of things. I always point to one of the best DLCs of all time, the Shivering Isles from Oblivion. What was any of that based off of? Nothing. Like, which culture, which country, which time period is supposed to be the Dark Seducers versus the Manic side with the Golden Saints? They just made it up. Unique characters acting in unique ways. It's not based on any culture or anything. It's just based on individuals and people and lived experiences. You don't have to take people and say, well, you're this culture, so you got to put them in this box. And so to extrapolate, he's like, oh yeah, we need less old white guys making content for D&D because it's not just white players. Are you going to make it like a way too white influenced module? No. And if you could read his mind, I guarantee he was thinking, well, all minorities are poor, right? And have it like just constant racism. So we got to work that into the story somehow, which is why you get these like huge Hollywood flops where they're like, oh, look at this story about this thing. And then the people that they're actually supposed to be like pandering to are like, this is the most demeaning racist crap I've ever seen. What the hell? We're not like this. It's 2023. I went to the same school and was born in the same damn state as you. I mean, I've said this before, and it is true. Even growing up in Wisconsin where, we're all so white, I haven't seen numbers because I don't care. But at least in my area, the white people were running the range on money and parents and all that stuff and jobs. We had every kind of color. We had tons of Asian people. We had several black students. We had everybody in my high school. We had some Latino folks, or maybe they were Brazilian. Maybe, I don't even know. Who knows where they were from? I didn't ask. Nobody cared. It didn't come up. We were friends. If we had interests and they were cool and they were nice, nobody cared. It was the last thing on our mind. If somebody asked me like, hey, were you friends with this race, that race, that race, and that race? I'd have to actually go back and think pretty hard because I don't see things that way. I don't think of my friends and interactions with people. And when I'm walking down the street, the first thing that comes to mind is their race. And that must mean something. And I have to treat them differently because of that. That's the lefty talking points. How racist is that? It's that Seattle stuck-up, rich, I work at a giant company, white savior complex bullshit. That is what that is. It is real. It's not just a stupid saying that trolls throw around on the internet. No, these people legitimately think we have to, like, dumb everything down and include pandering crap because all minorities are so much less than us. That is what they think. That is how they think. And it's disgusting. We're all trying to just live our lives, and now even just with me following the stupid stories of what they're doing so I could try to counteract it in some way, because, I'm a media personality, arguably, I mean, to an extent. After decades of this crap, they got it in my head where I'm like, oh, but what about the race? What about that? Can we go back to just nobody giving a crap? What was wrong with that? I mean, I guess you can't tell people, oh, well, you're in America now, so you got to act like an American, forget your entire racial background, and I don't care if your parents came here in 1980 and then didn't learn English, and that's how you grew up. You got to drop that and act like us, because if you're different, I'm not saying go that far. What do they call it? The forced mixing pot? But the whole cultural appropriation, you can't eat that, you can't cook that, you can't wear that. That's how those people do it, and they have to do that. And you're acting white if you dress like that. I've heard people say that if you want to do well in school and you care about your grades, that's acting white. And if you're black, you shouldn't do that. You know who they hear that from? Black rappers, black culture, black entertainment television, which is run by rich white people. I mean, I will give you that, but man, perpetuating that crap to sell people products, ruining an entire culture and generations of people after racism was almost entirely stamped out since, like, slavery on up to the 1950s where it was really severe, and then into the 80s where people are like, really shouldn't go that way, 90s where it's, like, almost gone except for stupid old people, and now, like, anybody will come to the defense of anyone. Racism is effectively gone, and the only racism left is on the left. Because it's all about division, and I'm better than you, and pat myself on the back and look at how great I am. And then it just instantly turns into, yeah, but we need to help these people. Woo, white savior complex, woo. Well, I actually do agree with what Kyle said then. We do need less people like Kyle. I can't wait for less people like him to get out of those roles and get out of the hobby. You can get out of society while you're at it. I mean, go live in some communist hellhole. How about that? You seem to like those so much. What a hypocrite and what a terrible person. And it's like, oh, you might think, oh, you're extrapolating based on, one statement, one sentence. No, I watched a good portion of that. This isn't the first time I've come across Kyle and heard stuff about him. I hear all kinds of rumblings. I've got all kinds of insider information about who's saying what to who. That's how I heard about, not just some book leaks ahead of time. My gosh, I was a friend of a friend. But I was right about how they screwed those up, but also the story about Megamorph, which I've already told it on my channel. At this point, I don't think I could even retell it accurately. It was such a flash in the pan nothing. But one of their trans employees was incredibly angry that the fans and then people at the company were starting to echo what the fans were saying about Megamorph being a stupid name and sounding like Power Rangers or some dumb kids cartoon thing. And it was a bad name. That was it. Just, haha, bad name. Not even, I wonder who's responsible. Oh, it's this person who let's discriminate against them. They would go to HR and anybody saying, making a joke about Megamorph, they'd say, they're discriminating against me because I'm trans. It's a perfectly good idea. They're just echoing the hate from the alt-right fans, and this person needs to be fired. I think actually that person who would just complain about everything, everyone's against them and blah, 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 I'm drinking the lefty Kool-Aid idiot, I think they are no longer with the company if I'm not mistaken. I wonder what went on there. They do clean house when it gets disruptive enough because a lot of those people are, I hate to say it, but you know what Wizards is about, you know who works there, you know what color and gender they are. They are hiring token people on and off. There was that whole video I made about where they hired someone but then it was just part-time, then they lied about the start date, and they kept saying I want to be responsible for more stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll get to it, and then they just never did, and eventually he just quit. Yeah, he was black. He got the impression during the interview, because I think they blatantly openly said something about it, like a statement about, oh, you'll be so great for diversity or something like that he was a diversity hire. And then they cut his hours, minimized everything, gave him no raises, no responsibilities, and just kept him around to wave him around and say, look at our black person. Woo, we're so great. So once again, in case you're wondering who the racist ones are, it's people like Kyle and it's people like Wizards of the Coast. And by the way, he goes on to mention hiring. Well, we all know that Wizards of the Coast is famous for absolutely, under no circumstances, hiring or contracting black people. So, wow, that statement could not possibly be more hypocritical. So it's tradition, I gotta say it, get woke, go broke, and stop giving money to people who hate you. My two new favorite sayings. And of course, my own personal one that I made up, not quite as graceful, could use a little rewriting, but every one of the people who are brainwashed and this stupid, this racist, and just this deranged, by any legal means necessary, remove these people from their positions of power. I don't care if you have to run against them yourself. I don't care if you have to pressure them out of their jobs, force them to resign, expose their dirty laundry. I don't care. These people should not be in charge of anything. Your local board members, your governor, your president, your boss, your subordinates, your employees, your HR department, your teachers, your kids' teachers. Everywhere you see people like this ruining society and just delusional racist crap, get them out of whatever they are doing. I don't care if you have to, if it's legal, record them and just get their opinions out there so that they're forced to resign or pressured out of their positions by anyone, or you gotta make a video about it on a YouTube channel. Oh, I opened the whole bag of fortune cookies. Let's crack another one. Oh yeah. The best disinfectant is sunlight. You shine a light on it, it scurries away like the absolute insects that these people are, these lefty, deranged mental patients. They need to be in charge of nothing, they need to be influencing nothing, and they can go be unsuccessful and broke by themselves. There should be no financial reward for thinking and acting and saying things like this. There should be no promotions. There should be no, hey, be in charge of these people now. Hey, here, have more control, power, and influence. No, less. Well, not even less. Zero. Zero is the correct amount until they correct their behavior and their thinking and get a clue. And don't get me wrong, they once in a while do. Lot of famous lefties, in fact, a lot of Hollywood people now have just had enough. And they're just turning on it like, you know what, screw it. Latest one is Jon Stewart, to an extent. Still a deranged, delusional lefty, but he's just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't toe the line and do the talking points. I'm too old and I've been put up with this for too long. Still human garbage, but at least he saw the light. So, if you thought this doesn't extend to the Magic world, the former level 3 head judge of the entire judge program, I don't remember his real name. His first name's Riki. His last name's H something. I kept calling him something that rhymed and that wasn't what it was, so I'm just not even going to try. He said that they don't want any more white people in the judge program. Like, unequivocally, that is what he said. If you're not familiar with him, he had really rich parents and came here when he was one and still considers himself an immigrant and a disadvantaged, oppressed class. Try growing up like I did, asshole. Yeah, these are the kind of people, which he's already been removed from the judge program, but this is the kind of people that need to lose their jobs. When you see something like this, speak up. Don't say, oh, what if I get canceled? What if somebody doesn't like what I say? Okay, here's a wake-up call. This super, super delusional, extreme far left crap, 90% of the people in America do not believe that. But they have the impression from like NBC and Google News and YouTube and all the censorship and Facebook and Twitter manipulating all what people see, that it is going to be the end of their life and their career if they speak up against it, when really it's like 5-10% of people pushing this crap. What really happens when people just snap and have enough and they just say, you know what? No, what you're saying is wrong. And who agrees with me that enough people stand up? They just run away. They quit, they resign, they transfer somewhere else, whatever. They lose elections. They run back to Portland, they run back to their crappy little liberal hellhole. In my opinion, they shall jump on a plane and go fly to some socialist country. See how that works. See how their little opinions work in real life. You know, you don't see Hassan Piker doing that, actually. I don't know why. Probably too busy shopping for expensive cars and mansions. And then bitching about how rich people never give free surgeries to, like, poor people. Or that they shouldn't. Or the guy's insane. You know what? His viewership is way down. His father, who I believe is the one from the Young Turks, their viewership is down the toilet. They basically don't even exist anymore. I don't know how they're paying their bills. This is what happens when people speak up, they vote with their wallet, and they say, no, enough of this. I'm going to not give Wizards my money. I'm not going to give them my viewership. I'm not going to give them anything. And I'm not going to vote for these people. I'm going to actively tell my friends not to. I'm going to talk about politics. I'm going to speak up when something is wrong. I'm going to get on social media and tell people in my local area, hey, don't vote for this person. This is their ideas. Instead of, I don't know, local, who cares? I just vote for presidents. Get up, get out, and do something. Or bare minimum, do nothing, as in do nothing that gives Wizards your money until they get rid of people like this. There are companies out there that went left and crashed and burned because they stuck to it. And then there's companies out there that are like, okay, this woke crap that my HR and PR and marketing departments, you know, all these fresh out of college lefty idiots told us are going to work and make us so popular. Yeah, it didn't. It just killed our sales. So we're going to gut it all and redo it. Or a CEO resigns, somebody comes in, they clean house, and they turn the company around. That is what we want. I'm not just saying absolute destruction. Ooh, I hope they die in a hole with not a penny to their name. No, this is about teaching people. This isn't about division. This isn't about, oh, me versus you, my team versus yours. I want to win. You're always wrong. I mean, that's what they forced it to. The right was always like, conservative, leave me alone and don't touch my freedom. But like this culture war battle, potential like civil war, allegedly, that's what the left is pushing us towards because all of it comes from overseas foreign powers that want to rip the United States apart. All of it is being pushed by them. And international, you know, global rich people. Like Soros, he doesn't even hide it. He literally like pays DAs. And that needs to stop. People are waking up every single year. People are just like, you know what? It's been over a decade of this crap getting completely intolerable. Now it's starting to affect my life, my job, my kids, my family, my money, my career. I'm done with it. And you need to do the same. Start by not spending money on a company this horrible. I'm not just pointing out one or two examples of the worst at a giant company. They are all like this. If you're not like this, you get fired. Go to glassdoor.com and look it up. Hundreds of people saying that that's how it works. So for the many, many, many of you who said, oh, you should make a political channel. Yeah, that'll work really well on YouTube right now, especially start from zero. I'm sure that wouldn't get suppressed. No thanks. Go sub to my new prepper channel. The thing's popping off. Emergency Survival Tips is the name. Very, very apolitical, but honestly, with the way things are going, you're going to probably need half the stuff I show you on that channel. It's actually like instructional edutainment, not like dumb, whiny, prepper, unconstructive crap. And that's why YouTube likes me. So go check that out. But that's my video for today, telling you about this wonderful situation with a wonderful person. I can't wait till he finds a job somewhere else. So thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you guys next time.